So, welcome to the show, Relton from Relton Digital.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on, man. And we met a few weeks back, Relton, and chatting with you, there was a few things that kind of stuck out to me. And I'm excited to get into the intricacies of digital marketing today. But could you tell me a little bit more about what you do and more about Relton Digital?
Yeah, sure. So Relton Digital is read a book by Duncan Barrymore, and he basically said, "Put your name to a company if you're going to be proud of it." So it's important testimony to why it's called that because I'm putting my name in front of everything that we do. Relton Digital was born out of I had a contract with Sony and it expired and they wanted me to go to New York. And I'm not so keen on the States as many people are, so I didn't really want to do that. And at the same time, I got tapped up on LinkedIn to do some freelance work for somebody. So I did that, thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's grown from there. But some of the things that are really, really key and important to us we are, first and foremost, we are digital strategists. If you go to a Google Ads agency, they'll sell you Google Ads. If you come to us, we may not. You may come to us for that, but we may not actually end up doing that for you. As an agency, I'm going to get a bit cheesy on you now. We believe in creating and delivering success. And the two key words there are belief and success, because everyone can create and deliver, or they say they can. The create is the strategy, to deliver is the implementation. But the belief is, we're on a journey with a customer and we are going to take the guesswork out of whether something's going to work or not before we go down that path.
Yeah.
And that's where the belief comes from. We have very set processes in place that enable us to do that. And also the success is tracking. The success is putting tracking in place to track whether we are achieving a sale, whether we are achieving a phone call, whether we are achieving a quote request form completion. It's an action. It's an engagement. Have we sent the right quality of lead to the website that the clients come to us about?
Yeah.
I guess that comes from my background. I've been a head of online for a Tesco and company, took them from 700,000 to 3.4 million. And we did that by monitoring, they're very hot on the key performance indicators, which on websites is traffic, average order value, conversion rate, which is your sales, and cart abandonment rate. If it's business to business, then you swap out the average order value for the quality of the lead, and you swap out the cart abandonment rate for the form completion or the lead generation where they've fallen out of the process.
Yeah.
And what we bring with us quite passionately is we make ourselves accountable and we make the client accountable for making us accountable for measuring those KPIs.
Yeah. I bet, you've obviously been in the game long in the me route, and I can imagine things have changed a lot over, the years, talking about SEO and digital marketing. Have you noticed any massive changes? I guess the thing that comes to mind is you're always going to be tracking it because you're looking at your return on your ad spend. But what have you seen in the digital marketing space that's changed over the years? Like, are you still focusing your attention on similar places that you were 5-10 years ago?
So the landscape's changed dramatically with the introduction of AI and different buzzwords and what people talk about. But the actual fundamental measuring, no, it hasn't really changed. People are looking to get sales or lead generation. That's the output. So that output doesn't change. Whether AI makes it easier to achieve that output,
Yeah.
sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you've got to teach the AI persona tool a whole load of stuff before it even starts to become accurate. But it is getting better. But so from a KPI point of view, from a measurement point of view, from a strategy point of view, your goals are the same, but how you go about achieving them may change because there's different tools on the market. Absolutely. And that landscape changes all the time. And some of it's noise and other stuff can fundamentally make a huge difference.
Yeah. I remember when I first started my business, I got sucked into the advertisement from Google. It's like spend £800, get £800 back or something. And I can imagine a lot of business owners would get potentially fooled into that with varying rates of success. What do you do differently to that? Or do you have any advice on people thinking about to start advertising through Google? How would you approach that?
Okay, so I've got some very good advice on this one. First thing is, if you're contacted by Google who claim to be your account manager, unless you're spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on Google Ads per month, it will not be Google. It will be a third party that is employed by Google. That third party is paid on a commission basis. So you may get a phone call from a Manchester number with an Indian or Filipino or an out-of-country accent saying that, you know, you're a Google account manager and going to help you manage it. But they are commission-based. So be very, very mindful of that. You still need the professional agencies to understand just the whole dynamic of everything. If you press these people and you ask them who pays them, they will not tell you it's Google, because it isn't. And they may say, well, you need to do these things, and actually you don't need to do anything. So just stand your ground and be quite firm on that. But going back to our belief in creating and delivering success, we have a set process. So the first part of that process, when people are considering Google Ads, we're going to look at their website. Does it load fast enough? Have they got the right pages there? So that if we do send them traffic, is it going to convert? There's some real basic stuff that we're going to look at. Also, have you got capacity? Because if you're a physio and you need to fill 10 more slots and you're just on your own, Google Ads isn't the right channel for you. There's other channels, digital channels, perhaps social media might be a better one, or it's highly likely it will be, because Google Ads is more of a mid to long term solution. It will get you sales straight away, but it will start rewarding you greater after a time, because Google wants you to stay with them.
Gotcha.
So we're just checking, and we'll ask you things like, what's your conversion rate on your website, and we're just sensor checking whether you are ready for Google Ads, because if we send you lots of traffic, we want it to convert.
Yeah.
The other step in our process is we free forecast for you. So, and we've had this a number of times. In fact, in 2023, we turned down 6 clients. And the reason we said it, well, we jointly agreed it wasn't appropriate, because if, for example, you're in IT and you're starting out as an IT expert, you're going to set up your own business. It's an extremely competitive environment on Google Ads, and you will need £3,000 ad spend a month to be in that competitive environment.
Yeah.
So it's extremely empowering when we turn around and say, actually, have you got £3,000? And you say, well, no, I haven't. Great, don't do it. Because, you know, throwing £500 a month at it or £1,000 a month at it isn't going to get you the success that we would want to get you.
Yeah.
Take a different industry, like notaries, for example. 500 quid will do it.
Okay.
It depends on the competitive landscape. And I felt a bit bad, actually, because there's nothing worse than telling an IT person who kind of typically likes to sit in a dark room and just tinker on the computer. They don't want to go out networking. But networking is probably what's actually going to get them best. Because it's like banks, you know, you don't change a bank account easily. You're not going to change IT easily.
Yeah, I was looking at IT services businesses recently and looking on Google. So there's, I think it was like 60,000 Google searches in the square mile central London for IT services businesses each year. So there's definitely a massive portion of people searching Google to be found there. So like, I can understand why the cost is so high there to get that business, but you're right. There's nothing like networking, and I feel, well, that's how we met, isn't it? And here we are.
And here we are. Just going back to that point, so we do the free forecasting, then the client is fully aware of what's required. So they know and we know what we need to achieve success.
Yeah.
Because we've gone through that process, when we take a client on board, we implement all the tracking. That has some SEO benefits as well, but we implement the Google Tag Manager so it doesn't put too much, doesn't slow the website down, analytics and Search Console. So we're able to then measure the success. We also set up the account, because what Google does, Google operates on the past 30 days worth of data, and it's a continuous conveyor belt, 30 days worth of data. So we want the first 30 days worth of data to be absolutely banging. So a part of that process is we will go and crawl all the competitors and we will see what's working for them, and we place that into the ads as well. We can do that. We're a bit creepy.
Yeah. The military precision to marketing, perhaps. The sniper.
Well, this is strategy. Yeah, this is setting yourself up to succeed. So we do this in setup, and unlike most agencies, we do charge a setup fee. But the reason we do that is because we monthly rolling contract typically. So you need to give us one full calendar month's notice to end your contract with us. So you're not stuck in a 12-month contract with us, because at that point, and this is us sticking to our values, we believe it's going to succeed.
Mm.
And that's really, that's a statement, that's a flag, that's sticking a stake in the ground and saying we believe in what we do.
Yeah. Relton, how would someone know how much is an appropriate amount to spend on advertising? You said in the IT services, $3,000 a month, perhaps other businesses smaller. How would someone know that? How would a business owner look at that or be able to work out something like that?
Well, so within Google Ads, there are tools that help you do that, but also it does come with a bit of experience too. But as that second part of our process, we would advise them on what that looks like, and we don't charge for that advice. It's because we're starting a relationship, regardless of whether they work with us or not. They may come back in a year's time and go, "We're ready now." And just sometimes there's an element of expertise as well. Plumbing is another competitive one, especially locally. You'll be surprised what budget you really need.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're having a discussion with an agency, ask them these questions. They should have a process in place, and they should be able to guide you on it.
Yeah, and I guess for businesses looking to start doing their first, marketing spend or outbound campaigns, or specifically looking for an agency, what should they be talking to an agency about? And when is an appropriate time, right? Is it like, okay, shit, we need to fast track our sales here? Like, what's a good approach to giving it a first go?
So another thing that we do, and this is again, it's all part of the digital strategy process, we will run a competitor analysis for the client. So we will look at their competitors. We'll see how much traffic they get. That's how we determine whether they're good at what they do. And then we look at how they get their traffic. So we can see what's working already. Again, we're just taking this guesswork out. But it's not just that, because the other really important thing to remember is cash flow for a business.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be some things that we will always recommend over other things, because some are more instant than others. So just to touch on that, you want to get your infrastructure in place. So a content strategy is a good place to start, because Google can only crawl the written word. So you need to have...
What does that mean? Sorry.
Well, Google's algorithm, when it crawls your website, it can only crawl words. It can't crawl images. You have to name them with words. So you need the right words on your website to attract the right target audience for people who you want to give your services to. So let me give you an example of that. So we've got a client that they project manage house builds. They are not interested in loft conversions and garage conversions. Loft conversions, garage conversions get 30,000 hits a month in the UK. Very strong search volumes. But that's not his target audience. What he wants is commercial to residential developments. He wants carbon neutral housing, eco-friendly homes. So they're the keywords that Google knows him for, because that's what we built the content strategy around.
Mm-hmm.
So while commercial to residential only gets 500 hits a month, he's likely to be front and centre for those searches, and it's who he wants to advertise the searches to. We have a commercial fire protection business. They want to be found for passive fire protection, fire risk assessments, fire emergency evacuation plans, and fire strategy. What they don't want to be found for is active fire protection, because that's all subcontracted. They don't make any margin on that. So we focus on those four things.
Mm-hmm.
Our conversion rate when we send them traffic is anything between, we average over 12 months 20%, but we did achieve 27% 1 month. But what we don't do is we don't advertise, and we don't SEO any of those other active fire keywords, because that's not where they're after. So building your website on keywords that are relevant for you and your target audience, and the target audience is really important.
Yeah.
Is where you need to start, because then if you run Google Ads or if you run paid social, you're going to send them to these specific landing pages that you've created for your target audience. Yeah, one more level on that. We've got a grounds maintenance company that wants contracts from local council. So grounds maintenance contracts gets no search volume at all, but when that council person lands on the website and sees ground maintenance contracts, they know they can service their requirements. So there's always this balance, and this content strategy is that balance. It's the balance of data, what keywords perform really well. It's the balance of target audience, and it's the balance of brand story. Those three things pull together a content strategy. So start there, and then when you write your content and we send Google Ads to it or SEO traffic goes to it, the conversion rates are much, much higher. So you're setting yourself up over sort of a 0 to 18, 24 months timeline to achieve that.
Yeah, because a lot of business owners, specifically talking about conversion rates, a lot of business owners I know are always, potentially fearful of spending money on ads and like how they're going to measure what they're getting back. If I'm spending $1,000, what am I going to be getting back for that? And how we track that. I know that you do something a bit different to other agencies, but can you tell me how you can track that, or how businesses can track that, the return on their investment?
Yeah, so just going back to your previous question, just to sort of wrap that one up. So there's Google AdWords, there's Google Shopping, there's paid social, there's influencer marketing, there's email marketing, there's lots of these different channels, and you will pull those different levers depending on where the business is is in their journey and where their target audience sits. So we also have that conversation when we do the competitor analysis. But going to your other question about, so we believe in creating and delivering success. The success is the measurement. We put the tracking in place. The tracking for e-commerce is ROAS, return on advertising spend. So we've had a client, it's their second month. I've literally just had the report hit my desk. So we achieve a ROAS, return on advertising spend, of 501%. What that means is for every pound we spend, they get £5.01 back from that spend. We have other clients, we have achieved in excess of 1,600%. We've got a client who's, because of their strategy and because of the average order value, they're an energy bar company. They're looking to just get new clients. They're actually not, if they got a positive return on advertising spend, they'd be happy. I have to say we don't agree with that. We've achieved in the first month over 200% ROAS, which is our lowest performing client at the moment. Well, their average order value is something like £15. But what they're doing is they're getting new clients, they're getting new clients, they're getting new clients, and it's the kind of product where they will keep remarketing to them and they'll have a very loyal base. So the lifetime value of that client is significant. But return on advertising spend is the one we report on because that holds us accountable. You know, if you're spending £5.01, well, you spend £1, you will get £5.01, and that's been pretty consistent since we've started with them.
Yeah, and that gives, I guess, it gives that certainty and transparency of where the business is going, right? And I love that because there's some businesses out there, it's quite hard to measure that when we're looking at advertising. For example, billboards or traditional media, it's harder to know exactly where the money's getting converted or where your sales are coming from.
Yeah, and just a couple of layers on that again is a lot of agencies come to us. A lot of clients come to us. They don't know how to measure success. They've not done this before. They've got a great product. Their passion is in the product or the service. They don't know anything about marketing. They don't know what success looks like. They don't know how to hold us accountable. So we do it. Whereas a lot of other agencies, dare I say, will prefer not to.
Yeah.
But the other thing I just wanted to mention, actually, so we're talking about e-commerce there because we can measure a return on advertising spend with e-commerce because we know the traffic, we know the average order value, we know the conversion rate. When it comes to business, it's not so easy to track it, but we do track it. So to give you an example, on a WhatsApp group, we will create a WhatsApp group for our Google Ads client. So we're tracking traffic, impressions, we're tracking that, we're tracking the conversions as well. But what we aren't able to track is, it's not average order value, but it's the quality of the lead. So to give you it's a bit of a lay example, but it will demonstrate the point.
Examples. There's no lame examples, mate. This is real life business right here.
If you've got a commercial furniture company and we have a WhatsApp group and they might say, because we ask them to really actively engage with us, well, I've just had another lead, they're comparing us to IKEA. So we want to know that, because what we're going to drop into the Google Ads account is add these negative keywords, IKEA and cheap. So our ads will no longer appear when somebody types cheap IKEA office furniture. What we may also do is be more exact on our search terms, on our keywords, and we may say corporate office commercial furniture, so it's more specific. Or on the other flip side is we might get they may get a really good lead. So we work with a drainage company at the moment. They've got a really good lead. They've told us about the lead, so we've adjusted the budget spend to put more money into that campaign because it's bringing them the better quality of lead that they want.
Yeah.
And that's really important, because I have come across so many other agencies that measure traffic or extra clicks. It's meaningless. Sending you traffic's easy. I could literally buy it off of Fiverr.com for you. Getting you the right quality of traffic, that's an art, that's a skill.
Yeah.
Getting you people who are going to buy and convert into a sale, that's a skill. And this is how our clients should be holding us accountable, and business owners should be holding their agencies accountable.
Yeah, I love it. No, it's great. It's great. And it gives a lot of clarity, to what you're doing. And where do you want to go with the business route? And what's the goals over the next wee while? Where do you want to end up?
I want to keep enjoying what we enjoy doing, because if we do that, we'll continue to be good, because we enjoy it. If we continue to be good, then people will want to work with us. We have all of our clients, and I can say this hand on heart, actually, all of our clients are lovely clients. They get it, they trust us, we have a fantastic working relationship. Obviously, we get results. So that's the other thing, is if we keep achieving results, we're going to keep people just continue to talk about us. So where we want to go, I'll just keep doing what we're doing. And I guess what I mean by that is, as well, is stick to what we're good at.
Yeah.
Rather than, if you ask me to do day-to-day social media, not only would I run in the other direction, it would fill me with fear, because we're quite a data-driven agency. It would dilute everything that we do.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that. That's a little unfair, because we have Rachel. She's the creative one in the business. She's very capable.
Is there anything about the digital marketing world at the moment that makes you a bit uncertain or a bit fearful of the direction that things are heading? Or is it all smooth sailing on your end?
Not really. I won't say it was sailing. The thing is with the digital ecosystem is you've got to keep your ear to the ground all the time. The latest buzzwords, the latest thing is AI, obviously. And that's the big elephant in the room that we can't pretend isn't there. And at the moment, AI is not quite performing where people are suggesting it will, but it is getting there. And there will come a time when AI is going to be a significant part of any marketing, digital marketing process or campaign. But I always take heart in people buy people. That's never going to go away. People trust people. Again, AI will probably mean less mistakes, but I don't see it. I'm not worried about it like I think a lot of people potentially are. So there's with the digital ecosystem, everything changes so quickly. I mean, Google can update its algorithm, it can update its shopping algorithm, and suddenly we have a whole load of products suspended from our clients, and then we just step in and we unsuspend them, and we just go through due process. Which I have to say can be quite painful when it's it's not a slick machine by any stretch of the imagination. So it's an ever changing environment. One of the things I love about digital is we can test everything.
And I guess it keeps you on your feet, makes it exciting, right?
Some call it exciting.
And I guess for the people out there, thinking about getting into digital marketing, like there are low barriers to entry, in my opinion, especially if you can niche down into something that you're really good at, really passionate about. But if you were thinking back, Relton, about the time before, you jumped out and took your first freelancing client, what would you say, or what advice would you be giving yourself looking back to the younger self?
So I think you'll find that a lot of people, it's not always a conscious decision, just things happen. I guess a couple of things that just were step changes for me was you heard me speak about the Google Ads package and the process that we have. We have one for SEO, we have one for influencer marketing, we have one for paid social, we have one for web development. Those processes, building those packages out where you're answering your client's questions. So, for example, a client's going to come to you, how do I know it's going to work? Well, we do the free forecasting. We have the discovery call. If it doesn't work, what happens? Well, we have 1 month written note. We're answering the potential client's questions before they ask them because we have this process. So creating these packages was fundamental, because the other thing it does is it gives me absolute confidence when I'm talking to a potential client. I know what I'm talking about, which means they're more likely to buy as well, just because we do know what we're talking about. So creating those packages is definitely one. The other one is I went on to I'm on QuickBooks, but there's lots of different sort of accounting solutions out there. That just made my life just ridiculously easier.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to do that as soon as possible. But probably the biggest one is, I mentioned people by people, networking. Networking. Get yourself out there, no matter how uncomfortable or strange it may feel. My first clients came from recommendations and referrals. So all I did by going networking was amplify that method of success. And the other thing I would say is listen to your clients, because if you listen, those packages that we're talking about, you will give them what they want because you've taken on board what it is that their desires are and what they're trying to achieve. But also, having said all that, don't let excellent get in the way of good. Don't think you have to have all these packages to get out there and talk to people. Just get amongst it. Don't be fearful, and be yourself.
Love that. Relton, thank you so much for coming on the show today, man. I really appreciate it.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.